So here we are, 8:40 in the evening on March 25th. And we can clearly see here that there is definitely what they call a peep in the egg, a hole in the egg. So the baby chick is finally starting to make its arrival. Not much happens the rest of that evening. And then here we are the next day at 11:40 almost. You can see that hole in the egg has gotten a little bit bigger. So Nancy is still incubating it, but the hatching of the egg has begun. And then here we are in the evening, about 6:35. You can see now that the egg is definitely starting to hatch. It's almost broken in half at this point. Nancy's kind of playing with it a little bit here. I think she'll turn a little bit and get another view of it. But the egg is definitely hatching. Here's another shot about 10 minutes later. You can see that the egg is almost totally broken in half at this point. You can see the gray eaglet laying there in front of Nancy. So she knows she's got a brand new eaglet to take care of now. This is about 25 minutes later. The camera will zoom in here. We can get a little bit better look. See if we can get a better look at the new baby eaglet that's hatched. You can just kind of see some of the gray in the egg underneath Nancy, the mom, at this point. This is about 2 hours later. The eaglet is definitely all the way out of the egg. You'll see as the camera has zoomed in again here. We should get another look at the little ball of gray fluffy feathers that's underneath mom here. You can kind of see them right underneath her there. It's all kind of balled up at this point. Just kind of moving around a little bit. Haven't seen a head pop up yet. And this is about 20 minutes later when we finally do see the eaglet kind of pop its head up. Here's another view of the eaglet, his head kind of popping up there. Mom's still trying to keep him stuffed underneath her to keep him warm though. It's late at night at this point. It's almost midnight. Pretty cold out there, so she's keeping him stuffed underneath her pretty well to keep him warm during the night. Here we go again at 3 o'clock in the morning. Definitely get a really good view of the little guy. I keep calling him and guy. I really don't know if it's a male or a female. They wouldn't be able to figure that out until later on when they can take a look at him closer, I think. So it's a he or a she, we don't know which, but definitely a baby eaglet. So here we are the next morning. Sun is up. We get our first really good views of the eaglet. You can see the fluffy gray fur around him. Looks like he's starting to hold his head up a little bit better. He's just a little ball of gray cuteness at this point. The camera's really zoomed in on the nest, so it's hard to tell what else is going on. Here we are a little bit later that morning, 7:30 in the morning. Nancy and Bo are both in the nest at this point, and I think this is the first time that Bo gets to see the eaglet. She's probably like, hey, look, there's something underneath there now. It's not an egg anymore. Here we are later in the morning, almost 11 o'clock, and now the real work begins. They've got some food here that Nancy's starting to feed to the new baby eaglet. I think this is her 8th eaglet that she's hatched, so people have been calling it E8. I guess you could also call him E1 for the first eaglet of the season. So I guess we'll call him E8 at this point. But Nancy and Bo now have the task of keeping him warm and keeping him fed. So here we are, another hour. Nancy is back to feeding E8. She's doing a pretty good job feeding him food, and he is definitely taking as much as they can give him. Looks like they're having a little struggle there to get the food into him, but she's patient, getting the food to him. He's taken out of her beak. He's definitely being well fed. Here we are again a few more hours later. More feeding time. Since only one eaglet hatched, since I only had one egg that survived, and I expect this one's going to get plenty of food. I don't think food is going to be a problem for it. You can kind of hear it chirping in the background. And Nancy seems to have no problems knowing how to feed it. And then here we are later that evening. Nancy is again feeding E8. Looks like she's feeding him some fish this time. A little bit of food before it starts getting dark and it's bedtime. Here we are the next day. Bo has brought a fish. Nancy seems pretty happy about it, and so she's going to get to work feeding that to E8. This is about 1 o'clock on the 28th. And so this process continues for the next couple of days. We will check in with them again later on this week. Until then, I want to thank everybody for watching. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We'd love to have you, and we will see you guys next time.